Hello, 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 and welcome to the Rumble and Roar podcast. I'm your host, Lenoria. And like always, guys, when I have a guest, I'm grateful and I'm excited. This is Miss Dennis.
Hi, hello everyone.
Miss Dennis is joining me today, and guys, we are going to talk about aviation. Aviation and our people, women,
Yes.
flying.
More importantly, yes.
Yes. So I have a whole bunch of questions because I love to travel. I did travel a lot. Sabrina, is it okay that I call you Sabrina?
Absolutely.
Okay. I traveled a lot when I was younger, of course, and when my children were younger. Now I have settled down a lot because I'm wearing a lot of hats.
Yes.
And I can't really fly a lot because I have to stay here to do what I'm doing.
Yes.
However, I'm going to pick it back up. But the things that, because of this show, the things that I was reading, I said, oh my gosh, it is good to know about flying.
Yes.
People get on, I'm not going to, I can't speak for everyone. Let me speak for myself. I was just getting on a plane like, oh, okay, they got this. And I'm going to still have to do that because it ain't like I know how to fly. However, to have a little knowledge, that's pretty good.
And not only that, even with the background, you assume that everything is okay once you enter and just get on an airplane.
Yes.
And that's not always necessarily the case.
Oh.
So there are a lot of intricate parts that go into flying as a whole, and you don't think about that as a passenger.
So I know. We're just trusting in that person
Yes.
that's flying that
Yes.
aircraft. So do you have your license? Are you in aviation school? Am I saying this the right way? Is it aviation school or is what is that? See, what's the terminology? How do I say it? Are you studying to become? Tell me.
Here's the thing: is that once you become a pilot, there are different levels of becoming a pilot.
Oh, okay.
So the first level is private pilot. So private pilot is where I am at this point. And commercial pilot, that's a whole nother genre of aviation. So there are different levels of becoming a pilot. You can be first officer, you can be captain. So there are levels of being a pilot.
So you said a personal pilot? Is that what you said?
Private.
Private.
Yes.
So private is just your own private jet or a private plane or
Your private. Let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
When you first start let's start at the beginning with formal introductions.
Okay.
And then we'll get into the meat and potatoes. We'll get into the meat and potatoes.
Look, she's got to do this, y'all, because I don't know much about airplanes, but I love it. Okay.
So, I'm Subrina. So, what kind of inspired me to get into aviation when I met my husband? Of course, my husband, he's on a different level. So he is a professional pilot, private, commercial.
Oh.
So he's on a different level. When I first met him, when we started dating, our very first date, when I met him, he didn't tell me that he was a pilot. He only expressed to me that he worked for the airline.
See, he was trying to make sure you were right and not
Yes,
and hungry.
He was actually giving the test.
Yes.
So we do, ladies, we do get tested as well. So we get tested as well.
Okay.
So when I met him, we conversed for a while, and our first date. So our first date, ladies, I'm going to tell you, was a $8.40 date. We went to Jason's Deli. We had two soups and we shared a salad.
Girls,
that was our first date.
Why is she putting him on blast?
But nevertheless, he's my husband of 15 years.
Okay. So that $8 lunch or brunch or dinner
turned into marriage.
Wow.
But our very first date, his background into aviation as an African American stems over 22 years. He's been in aviation for 22 years. So when I first met him, I didn't know that he was a pilot.
Okay.
So he asked me, hey, what's your perfect, your idea of a perfect date? So I was like, well, we can go to a movie, so have a great conversation. And then what he did was he pulled up. He said, "Well, have you ever thought about watching airplanes?" And I was like, "That's different.
That is different.
So I was like, that's different." I was like, "I wouldn't mind. Hey,
Yes.
the conversation was there, and I was like, I wouldn't mind that." So when he pulls up to the airport, he commits to pulling up to these jets.
Okay,
So,
wait a minute. The car, in the car. Y'all was in the car, pulling up to the jets.
Yes, and I'm like,
So y'all you guys were able to drive out to where the airplanes were?
Yes, he has clearance.
I know it, but right then I would be like, "Oh
no!" But it still didn't dawn on me.
It didn't.
What he, his profession. I just thought, the brother like airplanes.
Yes.
Maybe he's just that type.
Yes.
So when we pulled up, he opens one of the private jets. So he's opening jet. I'm like, wait a minute. So he opens it up and he's like, "Oh, you want to come and look in one? Cool." So he
and you were just playing it cool. You were just playing it cool.
Again,
that's
girl,
so impressive. And
maybe
so different. I love stuff
slow.
like that.
Maybe I am slow, but it still didn't connect.
I mean, I understand that you weren't gonna be like, "Oh my gosh,"
no,
but
no.
that was very impressive. But go ahead.
So he flew me out. So he turns on all these gadgets and
freeze frame. Go back. So, guys, so he pulled up to the airplane and opened the door and asked you, "Did you want to fly?"
No, he didn't. He asked me if I wanted to see the inside of a jet.
Got you. So
and I was like, "Yeah, cool. That'll be cool. That's different. A different day."
Okay.
And we pull up. He's turning on,
all the stuff.
All the avionics.
So it didn't dawn on her.
It's not the stuff. It's the avionics. So we're gonna use proper terminology.
Okay, avionics.
At the time, it was just the stuff.
It's the stuff to me because I don't know what it is. Okay, avionics.
So I'm like, what is he doing? So
it had to hit you by now that this guy has some knowledge.
Yeah. At this point, I'm like, he's on a different level.
Yeah.
So he did. He flew me around Atlanta.
That was the first date?
Yes.
Well, no, that was the second date.
First date. Actually, we said was the second date, but the first date lasts hours.
Okay.
So our first initial
date was
was the Jason's Deli.
Okay.
But we didn't want to leave each other, so Jason's Deli was early in the day.
Okay.
And we worked together the whole day up until the night. Now this is when he pulled his ACE card at night.
Yes.
So he flew me, and it's beautiful up there, and I'm like, oh God, this is absolutely gorgeous. So
you weren't scared?
I wasn't. I was surprised. I was more surprised than anything. So
I would not have gone. I would have been too scared.
Well, here's the thing: is that brother trying to impress me. I want to see what you can do.
Right,
so if you can impress me, impress me. So,
do it.
So he did, and from that day, I knew my husband oozes aviation. He has a strong love for aviation.
So what commercial planes have he flown? I mean, has he flown for like big airlines?
Yeah, major airlines.
Really?
Yes.
American Airline. You don't want to say the major ones.
The major ones.
Oh wow!
But here's the thing: is that with that, even with the background, I knew that he was at this time was in aviation. So we started dating, and then at this time, I told my mom about him. So my mother, she asked me. She was like, "Oh," I said, "Well, Mom, I met someone, and we're been seeing each other." And she said. Well, what does he do for a living? I said, well, he's a pilot. And my mom said, a real pilot? I was like, yeah. Yes. And then she said, is he black? I was like, Mom.
Well, Mama's about to know. She didn't hold it back, and
she said, is he black? I said, yes. And she looked at me. She said, he lying. He ain't no pilot. So I'm like, this is the most elaborate lie I've ever seen if he's lying. So that was just a fun fact of how we met. Yeah. So we, long story short, we decided, to get married, and we acquired airplanes.
Okay.
So we actually fly the children. We actually fly our families over. We very rarely drive anywhere. So we'll fly to lunch.
That is
so we'll fly
good.
to lunch. So what?
Like where? When you fly to lunch? Oh, that is so different. Oh my goodness. Now that is something that you can actually say you do that a lot of people just do not do.
Yeah, so we'll get in the airplane and just fly to lunch anywhere. I mean, I keep a bag packed. I keep my bag packed because he might say, you want to go to Paris for the weekend. So he may have 3 or 4 days. We say layovers. He may have 3 or 4 days where he's not working, and then he'll be like, let's go.
I would love that. That's so exciting. Well, I have questions. Okay, so
that's the background of what sparked my interest into aviation as an African American woman.
Okay.
So once we became married and we acquired planes, we're flying. So in my mind, I say, what would happen if my husband had a medical emergency in the air and my family is on this plane, my children, I'm on this plane? What would happen? How would I land this plane?
Do you ever think about that when you're on the big commercial Delta flights, Southwest, and those big ones? Because I do. I'm like, but I know they have a pilot and a co-pilot.
Correct.
And I a lot of things go through my mind, and then I have to stop it. I have to stop my mind from racing about things like that. And I'm thinking about birds up there and lightning.
A bird can bring a plane down.
Yeah, those are one of my questions.
Birds, yeah.
That's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. I wrote a couple of things down,
right.
And you would probably know the answers to it. But when I tell you, I do think about stuff like that, and then I have to stop myself, get that first cocktail as soon as they allow me to.
Yes.
And I pray, and then
Yes.
I drink, and then I'm like, Lord, just help me make it to my destination, because you're right, all of those things are factors, and that's why you learn, because you wanted to make sure if something happened to him, you would, and that's so very smart.
So I am always thinking, not only as, a wife, as a mother,
Right.
that was a realization, because people don't realize that pilots do have medical emergencies, and where they...
But that's why they have co-pilots.
Correct. But
And
if
at
you're
the
in a
time,
private plane,
I was going to say, and at the time when you and your husband is flying, you are the co-pilot.
right, but if I didn't have knowledge of flying or didn't obtain a pilot's license, I would not. So that would be an issue or something that I just didn't want to, just have that on my heart. If I am the go-between life or death between myself and my family, if something happened to my husband, I've got to make a decision. So that enabled me to say, okay, Subrina, maybe you want to
get some kind of knowledge.
Yes.
Even if you don't learn completely how to do everything, I need to know something.
But aviation, like I said, he is so into it that I had no choice, because that's all he talks about is aviation.
That was one of my questions. What inspired you?
Yes, so that's why I led into what inspired me.
Uh-huh.
That is the synopsis of what inspired me to do or to become a pilot.
Okay, so did you like it? Do you like flying a plane?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
A moment ago, guys, she said it is so peaceful when you get up there, and the look on her face. I mean, if pardon me, if we rewound this and you saw her look, she was like, she had a peaceful look. When you even speak of it, you can't help but speak at all, because it was so peaceful. I know that feeling, but not as someone in the plane, but I know that feeling as a parasailer. Yeah. When we went to Hawaii, my husband and I, or was it Bahamas, one of the vacation spots we went to, I parasailed. And I tell you guys, when you get so far up in the air, the adrenaline, I hope I pronounced that right. You know, I'll chop up some words. My adrenaline was like, oh my gosh, you know, and then they take off with that boat, and then they, you know, have you on that little dock thing, and then you're going. As I am going up, I am nervous, I'm screaming, I mean, just, you know, but once I got up there, it was a sense of peace and calm. I cannot explain that, but I knew exactly what you were talking about, and almost could feel the energy, because I remember when I got that far up, and then I am so high, it looked like I was in the clouds, and then I looked down and I could see shark in the ocean. Yeah, we were, and I could see the shark, I could see fish, I could not see my husband at the time. Everybody had disappeared. People were just, you couldn't see him, too tiny. Right. And it was like, so I know what you mean by it is peaceful. It is. And I mean, it's so funny. And my favorite time to fly, and people like at night, because you're able to see the beautiful lights. Everything is so lit up, and that is a beautiful sight. That is breathtaking. I believe you. I believe you. But no, I don't even like to drive at night. I need to see where I'm going. But I need to see a long way. You're not looking out of you're looking at your avionics. Oh yeah. So you're especially if you're the one that's like a car. So you're not looking out of a window like a car. With a car, so you're not looking out of a window. So well, how do you know if you're looking at your avionics? Yes. If you're looking down at your avionics, instruments and everything else. Okay. I'm on the plane. I'm on the plane. Okay. So if I have I'm on the plane, I'm looking down at my avionics, and is there a window in the front though? It is, but you only use the windshield. You only use that when you're taking off and landing. Because I was gonna say, if you don't use that windshield and you're looking at the avionics, to me it's pretty much like driving. If you're only looking at the speedometer or the brakes or the rearview mirror or the side views, if somebody come right in front of you, how you gonna know that they're there? Well, that's the reason why you talk to air traffic controllers and the towers and things like that. Okay. So they'll let you know. Yes. Even if you're not, we said that, Jinx. Even if you don't look up and you don't know it, they'll warn you. And you'll periodically glance. Okay. But there is not like you're just staring and you're looking at. That would be me though. No, because there's not a street or a road up there looking. But it's still, I'd be scared of a bird. I'd be afraid. Just all kinds of stuff. I need to see. It's VFR and AFR. So what's that? Oh. Okay, I'm sorry. Right. Say it again. VFR and VFR when you're visual. VFR. Okay. Yeah, those are terminologies that we use in aviation. I figured that. But in IFR is instrument. So you're flying by your instruments. Gotcha. So you use both, but more. It just depends on your particular situation and where you're flying. You will periodically glance, but you're more so concerned about the aviation. Correct. Because that needs to be on point. Yes, because so it's a lot that, I don't want to get too technical, but the synopsis of it is that it's not like a car where you're looking out of, just straight ahead. No, it's not like a car because, and it's in here, I remember pulling it up. Because a plane can't go backwards. Correct. The only time it goes backwards is when you're pushing it away from I don't know what the thing is called, but when we first start out and those guys are out there, this is terrible. Y'all, I should at least know some of the terminology if I'm going to be on here talking about it. That's okay. The terminal, when they push it away from the terminal place, and that's when they're backing it, and then they turn around and it'll go forward. But other than that, I read that you really can't. Okay, here it is. Why can't a plane go backwards? Because the only time the airplane really needs to go in reverse is when it pushed from the gate. Correct. Airplanes do not have a reverse gear. Correct. Oh, okay. That's why.
And that's the difference.
Okay.
With, between if you're driving a vehicle. But a lot of people don't realize it's a lot safer up there than it is.
Well, no. I remember reading, but it wasn't with this right here. But I remember reading a while back or hearing it or something where it says you have a better chance of not being on a crash in the air than you do in your own car.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's a lot safer in the air.
Yeah, but it's more on the ground though. It's more cars.
Correct.
Okay, so have you ever flown alone?
Well, that's your solo. So that is one of the requirements to obtain your private pilot's license. So you have to do a solo, and you have to do short country, and then a long country. Which means short country.
Self-explanatory. Go to some place that's really short.
Within a 50-mile radius, and you have to do a touch and go.
That means
50 miles. You have to fly along.
Touch and go, is that the
when you take off and land? Take
off and land. That's what
I'm sorry. I say touch and go, but take off and land.
I get it.
I'm using different terminology, but take off and land.
Okay.
Basically.
Oh my God.
And then long country is when you have to fly at least 100 miles and alone, and then you have to do your solo, before you can go in front of the FAA.
When you flew that 100 miles alone, and 100 miles is probably like from here to Columbus, Georgia.
Pretty much.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Were you? Y'all. Cause see, I'm thinking about myself. I'm not thinking. This is something you like, and but.
You get a rush every time.
You weren't scared? I would have been afraid the whole time.
But by the time you get to that point, you've had
so much training.
Instructional training, ground school training. Mm-hmm. You've had instructional where you fly with your instructor. Okay. So it's a lot that goes before.
It's not like they just throw you out there like a job.
Correct.
Job, give you training for a week and be like, okay.
Because you have to have at least 40 hours of training before you can even obtain your private pilot's license. So.
I don't know if that's enough.
Well, here's the thing. It's not equivalent to 40 hours on your job.
Okay.
So it's a totally, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. And, so.
Shoot. 40 hours is 40 hours.
But you have to have at least 250 for your commercial. 250 hours for your commercial. And again, it's a lot more intricate than just you doing 250 hours at your job. So. Okay.
Wow. Guys, this plane thing is something to me, and I love it. I love it that I'm sitting next to someone, a female, a black female who actually can fly a plane. I hope this doesn't sound like, oh, you're just an ignorant person. There's a lot of them out there. And if there are, I just don't know them.
Well, here's the thing.
I think it's a big deal. No, go ahead, baby.
But women make up less than 1% of the aviation.
Well, then I feel I have a reason to feel this way.
Yes. So we are less than 1% of the industry. And
okay, you're saying women as a whole, or black women, or white, or just women as a whole?
African American women as a whole.
Okay, gotcha.
But I'm more concerned about my African American.
Right, and there's not. Yeah. I don't know any. Do you?
Yeah. Well, they're like unicorns. Okay. But they're not. So here's the thing: is that they have a organization called OBAP. Uh-huh. So OBAP is where people, all different nationalities, African Americans, they come together once a year in the aviation industry, and they converse, and they just talk and and laugh and come together. It's like a family reunion for
like a business meeting or
a
meeting.
I call it a family reunion because the aviation family is small.
Yes.
So it's like a family reunion of people in the aviation industry.
Gosh.
And not just that, there are so many different genres that you can go into in aviation, not just pilot. I
have that. Oh, okay, we'll get, okay. What are the three types of aviation? There's commercial, general, and military aviation.
And that's on the pilot spectrum.
Okay.
But I mean, you have air traffic controllers.
Yeah, you're right. I did have that as well. And what else?
Dispatchers. You have dispatch.
Yes.
You also have maintenance, people that work on airplanes.
Right. So okay, the airline pilots, technicians, aircraft manufacturer engineers,
yes,
air traffic controllers,
yes,
maintenance technicians,
yes,
and quality control personnel.
Correct.
So you're right. There is a lot of yes. So
and a lot of the perks even that comes along with that. A lot of people are like, I don't want to be in the air, but you can still be in the aviation industry
and not have to be in the air.
Correct.
Oh.
So that's why I mentioned that there are several different areas of aviation that you can go into.
I think I have two nephews. I think one here in Atlanta and one in Florida who works in the aviation area because they do one of them do the I'm not really
they're
sure.
ground,
but that's still aviation.
Yeah, it is.
Gotcha.
And here's the thing: is one of the perks of being in the aviation. A lot of starting salaries are a lot of times are six figures, and people don't.
Now, that's
more importantly, we're talking monetary.
Wait a minute. Didn't you see my face? I was like, nope. But when you said that, I was like, well, now that's
and we, well, my family and I, we get a sense of pride because I'm setting my children up. So because we own airplanes, when they turn 17, 18, they will have their pilot's license. Well, so that is one extra. I don't care if they want to be a pilot or not, but at least you'll have that skill up under your belt
to know in case
to provide for your family. Because it's a very lucrative.
Your girls and your boys.
Yes. Well, my girls are older, so they're more into.
They're doing their own thing
already.
Correct. Okay.
So I wasn't actually in the aviation when they were young.
Right.
The boys are younger, so.
And then they're watching you fly a lot, and they're there with you.
Correct.
So they probably. Oh wow. That's good.
And it's actually, like I said, it's very lucrative. And again, it's not enough African Americans in this arena, and that's the reason why I speak on aviation as a whole.
Okay.
Because it's just an untapped industry for our people.
Okay, these are some of the things we were talking about earlier. How a bird can just mess up the flight. Mess up a plane, and I was asking you what happens if a bird hit the plane. The impact of hitting birds during key sequence like takeoff or landing can damage the engine, windscreen, and nose cone, usually forcing the plane to return. That could actually just it says while only a fraction or strikes result in major damage to the aircraft, even minor damage can be a significant factor in airline,
Yeah, and not only with that being said, you're trained to in different scenarios.
Yes,
so you're going to simulators with different scenarios.
Yes, but a significant nuisance for airline to deal with. When I tell, what can you train? Well, I don't want to be dumb. It just said that it messes up everything when a bird hit that propeller
it can
or whatever.
Engine. So
engine. Okay.
Well, different planes. They might be single engine airplanes.
But how can they? I'm trying to get this out the right way, guys. I don't want to just sound. How can they prepare you or train you for a bird hitting your engine, other than once you've been hit, how to steer it because you're going down?
Yeah.
Am I saying it the wrong way, or am I asking the wrong way, or
no? I mean, again,
because you're going down.
That goes into all of that training.
Okay.
Into simulators. So simulators, they simulate different scenarios that can happen.
Okay.
In the aviation industry.
Okay.
And a lot of that is pilot knowledge. A lot of that is, your experience as a pilot. So,
do you remember that guy who landed that plane on that water, and everybody lived? If I was one of those people on that daggone plane, I would have to call him every day. Thank you. I thank God this morning. Then I want to thank you again. Thank you for going to school. Thank you for not drinking the day before or doing drugs. Thank you for being just attentive. Thank you for just knowing. Thank you for using your brain. Thank you. And my husband always says, sometimes when we get up in the air and the turbulence hit, I'm like, darn, I hate turbulence. And I know it's just the air between the ground and...
That was Scully. But the background of that is...
That's the guy's name?
Yeah, I think...
But
he was the captain. He was not even actually the pilot in command. So people don't realize it.
But you know what? I don't care.
But his skill level is what enabled him to save lives.
That man, I know he has gone down in history. However...
he's phenomenal.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about when you fly a plane and you know that person there, he was trying to save his own life too. He wasn't going to just let it go down. He was like, okay, what can I do? There is water over here. There's boats over there. There's this over there.
I got to get in between. Where your training comes in, because again, as the more you fly, the more you're going to, because these are man-made things. Things can happen.
Yes.
But that is where you have to prepare yourself for the what ifs. As pilots, you can't always prepare yourself for everything, but as the more you fly and the more experience you gain and the more skill knowledge you obtain, because you actually have to...
Did anybody... I'm so sorry. I have to ask this because I'm going to forget. When you were in training, do they teach you how to land on water or on snow?
That's a different type of rating. That's a different type of plane. So you have propellers, and so you have different types of planes in which you have to be.
But the reason I asked that was because when you said that's the training part of how he had the knowledge to know, hey, wait a minute, this is water. I'm going to have to land on this water. Did he ever have training to be able to land on water? And every time it snows, I'm like, I don't want to get on the plane. How are they going to stop it? It's going to slide into the daggone building. It's going to do this, do that. I just have stuff going on in my head.
Well, here's the thing is that is the reason why you have to have a certain amount of hours.
Hours. Look, hours, skill training, daggone everything. When a 150,000 ton plane hit ice and the wheels look about this small, guys.
It looks about this.
I know. I said look, how, and I think about this all the time, especially if it's snowing and you're in Ohio or New York. How can that plane stop? Because it already, when they're stopping on dry land and it goes, and you're doing like this, and I'm like, please stop, please. And we're doing like this. Girl, I be praying. And then if it's ice or rain, I'm like, okay, Lord, if this is the time that you chose for me to leave, forgive me for everything. I start praying.
But here's the thing, on the background of that,
yes,
with the ice, you just, as a pilot, you don't get up there and say, okay, well, let me just start flying. That is where air traffic control comes in and dispatch.
But you don't
have to give you flight plans.
They can give you plans. They can throw them down there to your plane.
Yes.
They could be on the aviation system. They could be on the intercom. They could be in the sky. How does those tires stop on snow and ice? How does that happen? Even though I love it that it can, but I always wonder how does it do that? Because I'm in Atlanta, and if we get snow or get not even an inch, a half inch, people are sliding into you and having accidents and
right. But it's different material, so you don't use the same tire material.
Oh, really? and you know what, look, girl, and I know, but why not? But why not? Why not? They just want us to crash on the ground, and it's more people, right? They want us to crash down here when we should have the stuff that's both places should have the real deal stuff. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing I read about lightning. Lightning. Let me see. Let's see what it says about lightning. Modern aircraft are designed to withstand many environmental conditions, including lightning strikes.
Yes.
While that may be terrifying for flight crew passengers, like you just said, you and I, millions of volts of electricity generally exits the airplane in a designed fashion. How can it exit the daggone aircraft? I don't understand that. Lightning strikes can rarely cause physical damage to the aircraft. Why? When a lightning can hit your house and everything is fried and it's your house is made of something different.
Right, it's a different material.
Yeah, but to me, I'm just saying, y'all. I'm not being ignorant. I'm just saying.
Well, you're thinking on it on a level of just
unknowledgeable,
just a passenger.
And when when lightning hits iron, to me, it seemed like, because they show them cartoons and the other stuff where you, but when it hits iron, you would think that the whole thing would be electric, and everybody on there would be fried. Girl, I'm just saying, I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. Yes, and let me see. Do you know that they said the safest place? This is what I heard, so I'm not saying this is certain. I've heard this. I should have Googled it before I said this, but this is what I heard, and you can let me know. But this is we're going to the left, but we'll bring it right back. Somebody told me it's safer to be in your car because of the tires when it's lightning than it is in your house. Is that true?
That I don't know.
I've heard that, guys, but I don't want to say, oh, well, I know for sure, or it's written. No, guys, it was told to me that, hey, you're better off in your car because of the tires. And I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. The car is made of iron, all that. And I'm thinking once it hit that, the whole thing would be electric, like the plane. But anyway, you don't have to worry about it. Planes, I guess, I'm not going to say it can dodge the lightning, but it doesn't do anything.
A lot of things can happen. Your instruments can stop working while you're up there. An engine can shut down. So again, you're taught maneuvers, and you have to do maneuvers, and you have to be trained on the different what ifs, because there are a lot of what ifs that can happen.
Yeah, but I know that she said it a couple of times that you are trained, and having knowledge and being trained is a wonderful thing, and I'm glad that they have to go through all of these hours of training. But my brain, I know that you train on a job to perfect it and know how to do it. I know that you train on almost anything that you do so you can come better at it or you can do it. However, flying a plane to me is a whole different level of just training, because certain things that can happen even with the training, to me, in my mind, just my mind, guys, I'm thinking it's still you're screwed because you're up in the air, like you said.
If you look at it this way, we'll bring it back to home.
Okay.
If you're driving, you're driving and you have had your license to drive 30 years.
Okay.
As opposed to a teenager that has had their license for a year. Mm-hmm. Your different level of training driving a vehicle is different than this inexperienced driver.
Our training could have been the same, but I know what you're trying to say. I'll be more knowledgeable because I done had experience.
But here's the thing. Mm-hmm. Both of you guys can be in scenario of it's about to be an automobile accident. Okay. You may know how to avoid certain scenarios
Yes.
in that automobile where
he's gonna freak out.
Correct.
Because it's never been done.
He may actually crash his vehicle because of the inexperience and the lack of skills and knowledge and the lack of training in a vehicle.
That's true. That's
so
true.
same. Okay. And I'll bring it back down because it makes sense, because the same thing applies to when you're flying. That's why it's important to gain knowledge.
So guess what she's doing to me? Guess what she's doing to me, guys? When I get ready, you know I'm silly. When I get ready to go on a plane, I'm gonna go up to the thing and the pole pit, the car. Not the pole pit. The damn
task electric plane.
We are so silly. The cockpit. What is it?
That's it.
From now on, and usually the pilot is there to greet you. I love that.
Yes.
When I see a young, I'm gonna be like, oh Lord. I'm so silly.
Now it has nothing to do with age, because you can have a lot of
young ones that are sharp,
that are captains. So and they might not be first officers.
Okay.
They might not be FOs.
Okay.
They might be captains. Ooh. So it doesn't matter about age. So you can't think about age, because they could have started their aviation career
really young, in the teens, with their father. Because I did read somewhere where a guy was getting ready to retire, but there was a picture of him flying the plane, and he always had his son with him. Yes. And then the picture was reversed. He was flying the plane, and his dad was
Because ultimately, my goal is, and my husband and I, we laugh about this all the time, we want to fly together. So we want to be in the cockpit together and flying together.
On a commercial flight?
Doesn't matter whether it's a private or commercial. That is my goal.
But you guys are flying together, and
right? But I mean in a different arena, like on a larger arena. So I want to. That is one of my goals. Is to he be like, that'd be cute, but. Husband and wife team flying together? Yes.
But I think what you're doing now is already super grand.
Yeah, but well, thank you. But here's the thing: is that once you start, you want to see what else other knowledge you can gain into
like
this.
A Lay's potato chip. You can't. You just can't do it a little bit. Yes, you want more and more and more. Like money. You don't want no You want more and more and more.
Well, we know you're thinking about money because you said the pool pit so fast.
She is so silly. Okay, let me see. You are crazy. These are really, I guess, personal. Do you recommend anyone to learn to fly? Do you recommend more people? I think you already answered that.
Well, what I would recommend is a person taking a introductory
everybody
flight.
You feel that everybody
interested? If they're interested, if they have any interest in aviation or want to become a pilot, take an introduction flight, and that details you with an instructor, and you go up, take off, and land, and see how you feel about flying. Because a lot of people get up there and they'll take that introduction flight, and they'll be like, I don't want to do this.
No. So it's not like swimming, guys. It's not like something that you just have to have or you need to do. No. Okay, so you... Okay.
And you generally need to have a strong like or love for...
And that was one of the questions. What kind of mindset do you need to be a pilot or in aviation? What kind of mindset? I would hate for somebody to be there that is not trying to, because this mental health is real, but I would just hate for someone to have it mentally not there and they're trying to fly me somewhere and it only take a millisecond for them to start thinking about something, and then why am I saying the bad stuff?
It happens.
That's why I'm asking, and that's why I'm saying
that is the human aspect of the industry. And you may, and that's why my husband and I, we're very clear if my husband's at work, certain things I won't talk to him about because he's at work.
Okay.
Because I want his mind mentally to be clear of anything else.
Sort of like a police officer.
Because you have people's lives in your hands.
Right.
So you can't You can't. That's nothing to play with.
Okay.
So you know, you mentally and physically have to be, you know, there. And not saying that all are, you know, but you generally you need to be physically and mentally.
I guess with
there.
anything, if you're really dealing with, well, not anything. Some things you can just be, you know, somewhat.
But
not
mental
there.
health is extremely important in this industry.
Yeah. Okay, so can you be claustrophobic and fly a plane?
Yes.
Because it's so small. And that's that's a serious factor with people flying, period.
And my
They're
husband,
claustrophobic.
I
need the really
he
big
flies
planes.
airplanes and he's scared of heights.
Wow.
Yes.
Never. And I didn't even have that question down.
He's scared of heights. Yes.
But you know what? When he gets up there, it's that peace
It's
feeling.
it's the mental. It's the mental. And your mind is a powerful tool.
I thought you was about to say a terrible thing.
I
heard
that
you.
too.
She was about to say it.
So it's all mental. It definitely is mental. And I'm like, and I always ask my husband, how can you scared of heights, boy, and you fly airplanes? So he's like, yeah,
That's crazy.
Yes.
Okay, what is the hardest flying? Is it taking off or is it landing?
Actually, I would say probably they're equal, but they're not hard.
I am thinking landing because I feel that y'all already know how I feel about that landing part. Those little bitty tires, and I'm just and then that plane has been going 1 trillion miles per hour. I know I'm exaggerating. Don't. I'm exaggerating. However, to stop that plane and to make sure that you are not diving down too steep, you know. I'm not a flyer, you know, a pilot. However, I think that for me, landing it would be hardest because taking off, you have to. I see it on TV. you have to pull
not
that
the
thing.
same, but okay.
It's not the same. I'm sure. But you look. Don't do this if you see it. So you pull it back like this, and the air gets under the wings, and
Correct.
then and it depends on the speed that you go, how big the plane is, and how heavy the plane is. I did read that, but just taking off. The only thing I think about or worry, let me stop saying worry. The only thing I think about is when we're taking off, sometimes I'm like, oh, we getting real close to 285. Come on, pull up, pull up, you know, and then it'll finally, woo, I'm like, yes. Then I look down, okay, but
and it's a lot, but
yes.
And then you actually have, and I would say, a lot of pilots use autopilot. So they're not even flying at all.
That's crazy. Cheaters. Yes.
So it just depends. You have so many practices of takeoff and landing. It's like muscle memory. It's almost like if you're stopping and starting your car. You don't think about it. It's not hard. So is it easier? Is it harder to stop or start your car?
Girl, no, that's nowhere near.
Yes, it's the same. Is
it harder? I mean, to start your car or to stop it with the brakes?
Right.
Again, the stopping part is for me because if I'm going down to I remember when I was over in Europe, Germany, and I was going 110 miles per hour, trying to stop, slow down, or whatever. You can't just stop, you know. And we don't even have to go back to Germany here in the States.
Yeah.
When I don't drive fast anymore, but when I was younger, I would go really fast on the expressway and trying to stop. Oh yeah,
But here's the thing: is that
it's not hard, but
no, mentally you don't want to tell yourself.
No, you don't even think about it.
Part of it is hard or easy.
Well, that's true.
Because when you do that, you got to remember it's all
mindset.
Yes,
a mindset.
So it's just something that you have to perfect.
Okay, when you're up there on your personal plane, do you ever worry about somebody coming in front of you? Like flying in front of you or too close to you or by you or whatever?
No. That's because that's where you talk to the tower. And they tell you, okay, you have traffic on, at 3,000 feet or 2,000 feet.
So they know, the traffic controllers know your every move up there.
Absolutely. They know where every plane is up there. They know.
That's so good.
They know your flight plan.
That's good to know.
Before you take off, you have to give them a flight plan.
Okay.
So it's almost your
They
route.
know your destination.
Yes.
And why did you go to the left? Didn't I tell you to stay on the yellow brick road?
Well, those are not mistakes that you can make. If they tell you to go a certain way, or you tell them that you're going a certain way, you better go that way.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it can mean life or death, and that can also mean your license.
That sounds like when we were driving from Kreilsheim, Germany to Berlin, Germany. It was communist country at that time, and when we were driving through, they said we had to go a certain miles per hour. Mm-hmm. You couldn't go too fast, you couldn't go too slow. They said 50 miles the whole time. They'll know if you went faster, because if you got there sooner, that means you were driving too fast. Mm-hmm. You couldn't go to the left, to the right. You couldn't stop to use the bathroom. You could not do anything. You were driving through a communist country to get to Berlin. Mm-hmm. And see, the reason I was going there is because I lived in Kreilsheim, Germany for 4 years, and my brother was in Berlin, Germany. And at the time, in between the communists, and we had to drive through there to get to him. And when I tell you, you can let your window down. It was terrible.
And then you have to know what airspace you're going in. So you always have got to be, because certain airspaces you might not have clearance to go.
Now see, this kind of stuff, what if? And why am I talking about the what ifs? Because I want to know about the what ifs. What if the stuff malfunction and you don't have communication? I watch too many movies, which I don't watch much TV, but the movies that I do watch, it's because of my husband. Y'all, I'm going to blame it on him. I don't watch. But what if your communication was cut off and you no longer can communicate, and somebody's out there and they're too close to you, whatever? That would be a tragedy, wouldn't it?
Actually, that's where your
aviation comes into play.
Correct.
Okay.
Everything that you need to see, you'll see with your instruments. You know what?
The little kids, I Googled what does kids wonder about planes. I had to do that being a daycare provider. Let me see. Top kids questions. How fast does do a commercial plane go? They didn't say commercial plane. I just said commercial plane. And it said 547 miles per hour to 570 miles per hour. That's how fast it goes. You think it goes faster?
Miles, yes.
Miles per hour.
It depends.
It varies.
Yeah, it varies because it depends on the type of aircraft that you're flying.
Because I was going to say you can go faster than that if you like.
Absolutely. I mean, it depends on the type of aircraft.
Okay. Okay.
And it's you can't think about it like speed of a car.
And I keep doing that. You are so right. I keep thinking that way, because when you said that, I said that, can you go faster? That was dumb. You can go faster in your car just because it says it's 120 miles per hour.
You can pick up airspeed. So I mean, that's what it is.
Yes. Okay. Okay. They were asking. Let me see another one. How big is the biggest plane? How small is the smallest plane? It was one where I remember when I was in school, and it was a conjunction junction watcher function. You remember that?
I remember that show. Yes.
Okay. Remember in the area when they were talking about a jet plane? And they said, how does a jet plane fly? And they said, the gas suppresses, side the engine, pushes out in all directions, equalizes, can escape from a jet. That's it.
Okay, you better remember.
Yes. It says the law of motion applies to jet. Simply action and reaction. The zooming power the engine gets is simply action and reaction. And that's when they got into the part where the gas suppress. Is that true? The gas suppress beside the engines pushes out in all directions. Sideward thrust equalizes it. That's what it says on that thing. I know you're looking like, girl, that's a real long moon ago. But I remember that on that show way back. And on and another thing I learned, and I'm going to the left, y'all. This is funny. It's funny. On Capitol Hill, I'm Just a Bill.
Oh, yeah.
And it teaches you stuff.
Girl, we showing our age.
I know. here. But yeah, so and ever since I heard that, I was like, oh wow, okay, it does a lot.
Well, in conjunction to that, we actually, my husband and I, we actually make it our mission to bring as many children to the airport as possible to see the inside of planes, just to introduce them to something different.
That's good. I think some schools do field trips too. Well, I would never do that. Not with the little ones. They're too small. But
well, I mean, here's the thing: is that just to look inside.
I mean, no. When I say I would never do that, only because mine are real babies.
Oh, real babies.
No, I would do it if I had, the age
6,
group.
7 year
Oh,
olds.
definitely. Yes.
So, I mean, and especially going to career days to school and just letting them know that, hey, have you ever thought about doing this? Because a lot of times if your kids are only they're only going to be open to what they're subjected to.
Right.
So if they're subjected to aviation, you might be like, oh, I never thought about that.
Right.
So you have to pique their curiosity.
Right. And even if you don't fly the plane, let them just expose them to it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right. And we have a shameless plug. My husband and I, we have a flight school. So I'm kind of partial.
Oh, okay.
So we have a lot of students that are obtaining their license as well. So,
that's so good, guys.
And we had one student that has gone on. He has gone on. Actually, when I was in daycare industry, he was one of my children. Well, he attended our flight school, and now he's flying for the Air Force.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
One of your daycare students is flying for the Air Force?
Yes.
Sabrina.
We are so proud of him.
And he went through your school?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Now that's seriously impressive. That's so good.
I tell you, we are so proud. And
how old should a child start if they are interested, or they just even think or intrigued about it? How old? What is too young? What is too young? And then what is a good age to start?
Well, you have to be a certain age to obtain your license, of course.
Of course,
but
of course that.
The curiosity, there is not, you're too young. If they show interest, they can gain knowledge at 9, 10 years old.
Okay, 9 or 10.
They may not can actually fly the plane, but if they have that curiosity, then it's like anything else, like you feed that curiosity. And then it goes on to, when they're able to obtain their license, it kind of flows on it.
Right. And you can tell when somebody really want to do something because it's almost like in them.
Yes.
It comes natural. They'll start asking questions. You're like, wait a minute. That question you just asked, not everyone would ask something like that. Sort of like Whitney Houston. You'd be, and when she's singing, it's effortless because she's a crackerjack. It's just something that she does.
But my husband, he always expressed to me that that's how he started flying.
His father?
No, he was interested, and a Caucasian guy took him up. He was.
My husband went up with
11, and it piqued his interest. Yeah. And he said, "I wanted to be." He said, "Babe, from that point, I wanted to be a pilot."
My husband flew. I can't even get it out, y'all.
Don't laugh at your
He told this story. I said, "You ought to be ashamed." He said, "No, I was helping this guy on the farm, and he was doing the crop thing." He said, and he told me,
duster.
Yeah, a crop duster. That's what it was. And he said the guy let him fly his plane, and then he got up there and was flying it. When he got ready to land, he tore that plane up. He tore that plane up. He said, I can't even get it out. He said he went down. He said, I can't get it out. Oh my God, this is crazy. He said the ground started getting bigger and bigger. And so it went boom. He said the man wheeled. It was all broke up. That man said don't ever come back here no more.
Because that's a very expensive. That's a very expensive. Oops, I'm telling you. That is
he probably was 18 or 19, but still, girl, when he told me that story, Sabrina, he said the ground started getting bigger and bigger when he started coming down. I said, you can do it better than me because I would have never even got up there.
Well, luckily he was able to land.
Yes.
Safely or alive, because you know a lot can happen during takeoff and landing, and people don't realize that as well.
Like you said in the beginning.
Yeah, so you know, by the grace of God, he was able to land, even though he tore the pole.
Tore it up. He said northern wheels were looking like But I think he didn't hurt himself because he was out in the big field with all the corn and all of that other stuff, so it stopped him from
really. But the ground can hurt.
Yeah, but and he didn't go straight down like this. Yeah. So he was like, oh my gosh. Okay, guys, I had a wonderful time. I hope that you guys did. Sabrina, I'm so glad that you came onto the show. Guys, if you want to know anything about aviation, like Sabrina said,
Dennis Aviation is our school.
Okay.
Dennis Aviation is our school.
Yes, and we will put the information at the bottom to let you know how to get in contact with them if you'd like for your children to start.
Or yourself.
Yes.
Or like an introduction flight. If you want to just go up to see if this is something that you would like to do, we offer introduction flights as well with an instructor, and you can go up and take it from there.
That sounds so cool. Yes. So if you're interested, please DM us and let us know what you think and if you'd like to do it. And with that said, we're going to end now. So feel the rumble and listen to the roar, and we'll be back next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.